Hello everyone, and welcome to the Character Forge, where I take characters from various media and turn them into a D&D 5e build. I use point buy, optional class features, customize origin, and fixed hit points for simplicity's sake. I've recently begun integrating aspects of 5.24 as well, though I don't rely on such for now really, there's not enough content just yet. Let me know what character you'd like to see next in the comments below. If you have any specific characters you'd like to see made, drop by my Patreon and see if you feel like making a direct commission to skip the voting process. Today we'll be working on Jinx from Arcane for a splash of crazy with our splash of blood, and the splash of explosions. Don't mind the fact most of the explosions and blood is from people you loved, that's unimportant. We compartmentalize and repress here on this channel. If you'd like to see more builds from Arcane, check out the Silco build I did for Season 1, and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see others. Maybe Echo? I don't know. So for goals, we're aiming to have an incredible intellect and creativity to support gadgets, in this case spells, and enchanted gear. Next, we'll need exceptional senses, subterfuge skill, and long-range options as a gunwoman, or crossbow woman if your GM prefers. And finally, near the end, we're going to need some exceptional mobility and speed due to our shimmer-related side effects. We did get some benefits for that added mental instability and trauma after all. Now, for our ability scores, Jinx is fast, intelligent, charming, and scrappy. But she's built like a limp noodle and doesn't make the biggest and brightest decisions. As such, we'll settle for 8 strength, 14 dexterity, 13 constitution, 15 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 12 charisma. Now for species, we're going with variant human. Take a language of your choice, speak with your GM to make sure it's useful. After that, we'll have a +1 to intelligence and constitution for new totals of 16 and 14 respectively. Take Arcana as your skill proficiency. After all, you've been studying the weird magic rock since you were a child. Finally, for our starting feat, we have a choice here, and both options require you to talk to your GM. If they're okay with using firearms and intend to provide them, take Sharpshooter. Or, if you prefer, I have a Homebrew firearms feat that may be of interest. We'll cover that in the Homebrew section at the end of the video. On the other hand, if they, like many GMs, aren't comfortable with firearms, easy, take Crossbow Expert. Now for background, you were adopted into a found family of sorts after your parents passed away. You spent most of your life on the streets, learning to survive as best you could while avoiding law enforcement and getting up to no good with your crew of friends. As such, we'll be taking the Urchin background. This will give us proficiency in sleight of hand, stealth, disguise kit. Feel free to talk to your GM about replacing this with like painting supplies, and alchemist supplies, as we'll be taking rogue as a class later. Now, finally, we'll gain city secrets as a background feature. I give all backgrounds a Homebrew mini feature. If you're interested in that, stop by the Homebrew section at the end of the video. At its base, this will give an intimate knowledge of how the underground works and how cityscapes as a whole work. Talk to your GM about how to make it useful with their preferred playstyle. Moving on into class now, you start off as a scrappy kid with some interesting ideas that you barely know how to make work properly, but you're good with your hands and have keen senses. As such, we're going with Rogue. Rogues gain proficiency in a handful of minor weapons. All you'll need is crossbows thanks to Crossbow Expert, as well as dexterity and intelligence saving throws. After that, you also get proficiency in Thieves' Tools, Acrobatics, Intimidation, and Perception. You then get expertise in Sleight of Hand and Investigation. You also unlock Sneak Attack for those devastating shots when you do manage to get an opening and thieves can't. Second level rogues get Cunning Action, playing into your mobility and skill at hiding away when things are a bit too dicey for comfort. Even before Shimmer, you're light on your feet. This is where Rogue will stop for quite a while, so for now we're switching over into our primary class for a bit, Artificer. First level Artificers get a extra proficiency in Tinker's Tools and Thieves' Tools. I recommend asking your GM if you can get an extra bonus or expertise in Thieves' Tools due to this, so there's not some weird overlap going on. You also get access to Magical Tinkering for a fun roleplay flavor of a couple cantrips combined and weakened, with no durations to limit them, and you also get Spellcasting. You get 2 cantrips. Take Mending, because in the end you do love to fix things, it just rarely works out for you in the way you want. Alongside this, take Guidance, as you are incredible when you truly put your mind to it for observation and creation. For starter spells, take Identify to understand new technology you find, Verifier for your flash and paint bombs that cover an enemy, making them an easy target for your allies, and Catapult for when you want to use it to fling something creative. like a bomb, at someone for a big double whammy. Second level artificers get infusions, using a hand crossbow and shield to take repeating shot to make the crossbow far more pistol-like, enhance defense on your shield to augment your reflexes and speed. Feel free to roleplay it as a flare of magical energy more than a true shield. I doubt your GM will mind as long as mechanically it stays the same. For the other two, I recommend Mind Sharpener and Replicate Magic Item. Take something useful like a bag of holding for all your bombs. I also recommend asking your GM about the optional rule to override or increase infusion limits, as it's fairly common and makes the class feel a lot more usable at low levels. You also get an extra spell. Take Absorb Elements for a flare of movement or a contraption to limit biohazards. Makes sense considering where you grew up. Third level artificers get to choose their specialization, and we're taking artillerist. Though armor could be argued, the big semi-sentient gun requires your full attention. This is the law. This gives you the right tool for the job, letting you just create tools as you need as necessary, as long as you have an hour. You are also now proficient in woodworking, which is interesting. I'd recommend talking to your GM to change this to smithing instead. Finally, you get an Eldritch Cannon, which can be fishbones, pow-pow, or anything else you decide to name and use it for. For your spellcasting, your artillerist spells grant you Shield and Thunder Wave automatically. Good to keep yourself alive and throw a strike that's far stronger than your small frame should allow. Fourth level Artificer will get you +2 intelligence for a new total of 18. It will also grant you 2 more spells. Take Alarm to set traps and ensure you're not caught or ambushed, and Sanctuary for the moments you need to escape. Sometimes combat is no longer on your to-do list, especially if you're already hacking up a lung and poisoned. 5th level Artificer will grant you an Arcane Firearm. Now, I'd speak with your GM about this and ask if instead of a rod, you can perform this on your crossbow. If they say no, then that's that. Still fine. You can dual wield a rod and the crossbow, but considering what this does, I doubt any reasonable GM will actually mind. It's just kind of letting you be a mini hex blade with the weapon focus being your primary weapon. You don't get any additional spells, but you do unlock second level spells. As such, replace Sanctuary with Blur, as we begin tapping into your Shimmer capabilities, just not yet fully there. Your artillerist spells are Scorching Ray and Shatter for even more explosive gadgets always on your person. 6th level Artificer gets you Tool Expertise, making you a downright perfect lockpicker or creator of items and enchantments. You also gain improved infusions, and I recommend the Spell Refueling Ring and Replicate Magic Item for either the Gloves of Thievery or the Boots of Elven Kind to play into a Stealthcaster all the more. You also gain an extra spell, and I recommend Enhanced Ability for when you really need to make sure you nail all those important observational or tool checks. 7th level Artificer unlocks Flash of Genius, allowing you to push that check improvement even further, or save them for some of your rather unfortunately low saving throws. 8th level Artificer lets you grab another +2 intelligence for a new total of 20 now, capping out your primary ability. As such, you also get 2 new spells. Take Kinetic Jaunt and Invisibility to improve stealth and mobility even further than before. 9th level Artillerist provides you with an explosive cannon. So now, worst case, throw the gun at the enemy and cause it to detonate too. No ammo, no problem. This also causes its base damage to jump rather nicely. For spellcasting, you unlock Fireball and Wind Wall thanks to your artillerist spells for even more bombs and shockwaves. Alongside this, with 3rd level spells unlocked, we'll trade out Kinetic Jaunt and Invisibility for Blink and Haste, finalizing most of our incredible mobility and combat capabilities with this class. With Artificer finished, it's time to hop back to Rogue, now infused with Shimmer officially, granting you magic even without your toys. 3rd level rogues get an archetype, and we're taking Arcane Trickster. This allows us to flesh out our spellcasting even further while also acquiring minor telekinetic abilities to perform our toolwork at a distance. This is thanks to Mage Hand Legerdemain. We also get Aimed Shot, if it comes up. Usually you're moving around too much to actually use this. Now, for spellcasting, we get 3 more cantrips, and for that, we'll be taking Firebolt for another range damage option, Message for a handy walkie-talkie, as well as Mind Sliver when you need to really unleash your trauma onto someone else near you. For your spells, we'll be taking Charm Person when you need to catch someone off guard or sway them, Featherfall to potentially survive a bomb and a 500-meter fall, no reference or reason for that statement, as well as mage armor to keep yourself light and mobile. 4th level rogues get a +2 dexterity for a new total of 16, improving your non-magical options, skills, and general survivability. You also get an extra spell. Take silvery barbs for when you really want to make trauma someone else's problem for once. 5th level rogues get uncanny dodge to add to your ridiculous movement that has now skyrocketed, properly recovered from the shimmer infusion now. 6th level rogue will get you expertise in arcana and perception, improving your knowledge of magic, tinkering, and observational abilities even further. 7th level rogues get evasion, playing into that incredible speed even further beyond. For your spell, take Mirror Image to improve your chances of survival even further. Your mobility is no joke after all. Someone has to grab your hair to land a hit. Repeatedly. So often that you end up cutting it. 8th level rogue will let you take a feat. Take Mobile to play into that even further. You'll now be sitting at a comfortable 40 base movement and the ability to avoid opportunity attacks easily between mobile, rogue features, and spell work. To cap off that mobility, take Misty Step as your spell, adding speed so fast you seem to teleport to your arsenal. 9th level arcane tricksters get Magical Ambush, allowing you to throw spells while hiding to make your fireball save now be made at disadvantage when they didn't know where you were. Just a little bit nasty. 10th level rogue gets a final +2 dexterity for a new total of 18. You also gain an additional cantrip and spell. Take Sword Burst and reflavor it as a barrage of strikes as you've now really begun to improve your CQC near the end, covering a weakness. For your spell, take Hold Person as a solution for when you need to bind a target or lock them in a force field for timeout. Now for our level 20 capstone, we'll be wrapping up Rogue and this build. 11th level rogues get Reliable Talent, causing your minimum check for tools to be a ridiculous 33 to 36 using Guidance and Flash of Genius. Considering you could hit that roll 5 times per long rest, do enjoy the absolute creativity of what you can now bring into being. Talk to your GM about item crafting. Seriously, there's alternate rules, there's homebrew rules, there's official rules. Talk to them about it way before you reach this point, because this build is so much more fun if you get to flex that creative muscle. You also get a final spell. This will be some light shifting around, but replace your Artificer Blur spell with Glyph of Warding for fun trap combinations, and take Blur as your new rogue spell instead. Now then, just how strong is Jinx, and how should she be played out? Honestly, she's quite strong. Characters that are focused on one or two things always end up strong, and Arcane Trickster Artificer is a powerful combination, especially with the Mind Sliver or Magical Ambush combo into much more powerful and terrifying spells. Your potential damage is above average easily. Even if you burn out on all your spells, you're not useless by any means thanks to your Eldritch Cannon and Hand Crossbow with Sneak Attack. You have some of the best survivability and mobility I've seen on a build between all your spells, mobile feat, the rogue features with a phenomenal AC of 20 without additional magic items. All in all, this build offers fantastic survivability, control, and damage. But honestly, the way you should be playing this is a creator. Talk to your GM about creating consumables and combine them with your spells in fun ways. Bombs, blasting powder, vials of acid, alchemist fire, powder horns, more. Get creative, do things. As long as you stick to the general premise of hiding, stay mobile, don't overextend yourself, stay behind the more powerful frontliners, you'll be golden. This is quite the character combination. And I mean, hey, replicate Baldur's Gate 3's Barrelmancy. Use it with a catapult spell, a bag of bombs, and a firebolt. Your explosive dreams come true. Now, as far as homebrew goes, if your GM is down for freebie starter feats, I'd recommend taking Tough over Alert or more spells. Your spell list is already fantastic and you're not too reliant on initiative. But you're scrappy and durable, far more than your small build lets on, especially after the Shimmer. And it would bump you close to that 200 fixed HP marker. Not quite, but you'd be close. Now, if your GM is cool with firearms but doesn't want to use the arguably busted firearms rules from 5.24, then I recommend a hybrid of the old and new rules mixed in with some of what Matt Mercer did with Critical Role. I'd use the new damage die for the firearms. That makes them terrifying and strong. But if the user of a firearm rolls a natural 1, they misfire and shoot themselves for half damage. After they fire, anytime, roll a d6. If they roll a 1 or 2, the firearm jams. If they want to unjam their gun, they have to spend an entire action unjamming it. This makes that 3d6, 4d8, and all those ridiculous damage dice for those firearms more manageable suddenly. Finally, make acquiring ammunition difficult and expensive. Let crafting make it less intensive on the user, but make them track the ammunition they spend, something we often handwave on bows and crossbows, but firearm rounds should be different. Now, with that in mind, feel free to use this firearm feat if you so desire. This relies on the summary rules I just mentioned to be functional, and means a firearm character will need to have at least an adept level knowledge in crafting to make use of the weapon properly. The miss a target effect is to play into the idea that with high accuracy, no one can fully just dodge a bullet, as they move far too fast, so even a miss, quote unquote, will still graze you. As well, if you'd like, instead of crossbow expert, have the alternative I made with very slight alterations that make it far more sense to me overall, and it works on all ranged weapons instead of just crossbows, which is weird to me. Additionally, if your GM allows them, feel free to use this mini feature I designed for City Secrets background. It's what I use to make the standard backgrounds feel a little more original and interesting instead of the weird state they're currently in and the, hey, have a freebie feat. As to me, that feels more like a forced shoehorned response, and it's just power inflation, usually. I still let people do it if they want, of course, but I prefer to avoid that and like more original concepts instead. Now, keep in mind if you do use this feature. For the movement buff, it's base movement, so is, say, Jinx was to dash with an action, then dash with a bonus action. That's an extra 30 feet of movement total for that turn. Very good for running away, as is to be expected for an urchin. Alrighty, we're shifting into the outro now, where I just kind of chatter away a bit. So far, my health has maintained itself, so that's good. Second video, no major problems. Beyond that, more focused on the build itself now. But this build was interesting in that I've never fiddled much with the Rogue Artificer combo, but it came out much better than I was expecting, if a little bonus action heavy. Curious to see what you all think, though. If anyone hasn't seen Season 2 yet, well, it's arcane. You know what you signed up for. I know a lot of people weren't very pleased with it for some reason, primarily because they felt like it was too tragic an end from what I gather, but that's precisely why I liked it. By all means, shoot your thoughts on Season 2 down below too. I'd actually like to hear more about people's opinions on that. Just make sure to label spoilers, please. It's probably in my top 10 animated series of all time at this point, up there with like Avatar The Last Airbender and Cowboy Bebop. If you all have any other arcane requests, just let me know. This one was a commission request from a patron, and I debated the idea of a video on like world building for Zon settings using D&D as a system for it. Let me know if that's something you all would like to see. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Remember to love yourselves, love each other, and I'll see you in the next video.